A couple of introductions first. Helping me today is one of the reporters who works for Yachats News, Cheryl Romano, in the back there. If there's time for questions directly from the audience at the end of towards the end of the session, please hold up your card and Cheryl will spot it and swing by and pick it up and give it to me. Videotaping the forum today is Don Patterson of Walford. He's an award-winning videographer who recently moved to the area. A video of this will be posted on Yachats News' YouTube channel. Yes, there is one. Hopefully within 24 hours. And that's frankly how it will probably be spread further and wider. This forum is intended to be respectful, civil, and give candidates the chance to state directly in their words why they deserve your vote. But it shouldn't be the only way that you triangulate on candidates or issues. There's their own candidate's own material, there's a Lincoln County voters pamphlet, there's your own interaction with candidates over the years, there's media coverage of the various races. There'll be a long Q&A with Yachats candidates separate from this session in next Friday's, or this Friday's edition of Yachats News. There was one for Yachats candidates this Friday in the Newport New Times, and I'm soon coming up with the County Commission and judicial candidates as well. So, good government takes work and effort. Everyone here appreciates your efforts in being involved in trying to educate yourself. And we also want to thank the candidates who are regular citizens who put themselves in the spotlight and up for a public vote in order to serve our communities. So the goal here is to make this shorter than a normal Yachats City Council meeting, 90 minutes, or a Parks and Commons meetings, which is even worse. If you have questions of candidates or want their contact information afterwards, I'm sure they'll be happy to chat and give you their contact information and such. Leslie Baller, who's a candidate for Yachats Mayor, is not here today. She asked me to read this short statement. The coronavirus pandemic presents many challenges. So far, our community has fared better than many. I appreciate the contributions our citizens have made through responsible distancing, wearing masks, and helping their neighbors. In light of the ongoing pandemic, I've made the decision to refrain from participating in large gatherings. This is for my safety and for the safety of others. Some voters may hold this decision against me, others will think it reflects positively, but my choice is not based on a political calculation. So that explains that. So how this will work, I hope. I'm going to ask, since they traveled the furthest, first questions will be to the two Lincoln County Commission candidates. If there's one that's asked of Claire or Joe, then the other person will have a chance to respond if they want to. The same will go for Yachats City Council, and Mayor and City Council candidates. I was going to have the mayors into a group, but now we'll just do all 6 together. Like I said, there's lots of questions that came in advance. If there is time at the end, we'll get some directly from the audience. So I want to first give each candidate about 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and again, because they traveled the furthest from Newport and Seal Rock, we will start with the county commission candidates. Claire, you want to start first? And you can, if you're comfortable staying where you're at, stay where you're at. If you want to use the podium, come on up.
Thank you, Quentin, and thank you, everyone, for this opportunity. I am Claire Hall. I am your incumbent relationship with the Confederated Tribes of Celeste. I'm running out of my 2 minutes. I'll just say, especially now, we are in an unprecedented situation. We're in a dual recovery mode, not only from coronavirus, but from the wildfires that had such a devastating impact on the North County economy and home for 33 years now. I am in my 16th year as your county commissioner, and I believe that I have the track record of success, the knowledge, the the experience and relationships that has earned me your vote one more time. As you probably know, one of my big focuses has been on housing creation and my work locally and through state advocacy to create new funding pipelines. We've now got 140 units either completed or in the pipeline of development over the next couple of years. Fistera Gardens, which opened last year, Surview Village in Newport will be breaking ground next year on a 10-unit veterans project in Toledo. 10 families around the county are homeowners for the first time through the community land trust that I helped create. I've made expansion of county veterans services a priority, and as a result of my work, again, both locally and advocacy at the state level, the amount of veterans benefits coming in for veterans, their dependents, over the last 10 years has gone from about $20 million a year to more than $40 million. I was also instrumental in bringing VA doctors to the Newport and Lincoln City clinics. I've steadily expanded our transit system, Head Start, a stronger relationship with the Confederated Tribes of Celeste. I'm running out of my 2 minutes. I'll just say, especially now, we are in an unprecedented situation. We're in a dual recovery mode, not only from coronavirus, but from the wildfires that had such a devastating impact on the North County economy. And I'm just going to quote from our county's namesake, Abraham Lincoln. This country had gone almost 30 years without re-electing a president, and somebody asked him when he was running for a second term in 1864, "Why are you running again, Mr. President?" And he said, "Well, it's better not to swap horses in the middle of crossing the stream." So I truly believe now is not the time to swap horses. Thank you.
All right, thank you. My name is Joe Henselberger. I'm running for Lincoln County Commissioner. First of all, I want to thank everyone involved who put this together, and I appreciate the invite. This has been a rare experience during this campaign where we can kind of see folks face to face. Anyway, 2020 has been quite the year for Lincoln County. You know, we're dealing with a pandemic that's crippling our small businesses, and we've dealt with a historic wildfire season that's displaced hundreds of families. I think right now we desperately need a new perspective on our county leadership. As a small business owner, I understand that grant funding is not the only thing that we need to get small businesses through COVID. As a wildland firefighter, I can identify gaps in our emergency management and better prepare us for future natural disasters. I'm a former forester and a biologist. I'm a father and a husband. I've lived and worked in Lincoln County for most of my life, and I plan to continue to do so. I have a vested interest in this county's economic and environmental well-being. I think right now, more than ever, we need a common sense approach to a lot of the issues that face our county. I ask for your vote.
Thank you, Kevin. And I want to start off by saying that I absolutely understand and respect Councilor Waller's position about wanting to be here with the situation. I'm sure a number of you, if not most in the room, had some of the same concerns about getting together with work. But I appreciate the spacing and the ventilation in here. But 2 years ago, I told you I had no agenda. I just wanted calm, sensible city government. That's what I've tried to bring to your city for the last 2 years, and it's still the same. I still have no agenda. Yes, there are certain projects I'd like to see through completion, notably Ocean View Drive. I've been on that project, involved in that project with 2 city managers for over 4 years now, and I would like to see it through to completion. Many of you have asked me why I'm not out campaigning door to door or calling. I'm not a politician. I'm here to serve you, but I'm not a campaigner, and I'm not your standard politician. I just want to do my job and serve you to the best of my ability. And I don't know about you, but I get a little annoyed when people come to the front door all during dinner, just to ask for my vote or for money. I don't want to be interfering in your lives either. So the first thing I did, one of the first things I wanted to do as your mayor when I started out was set the right tone of civility. And we have done that throughout the entire 2-year term. I have addressed from the beginning each of our councilors as Councilor Voller, Councilor Glenn, Councilor Tuke, etc. Instead of using first names, sometimes we slip into first names, but I try to keep it on a more formal basis. Throughout every one of our council meetings, we've had a number of disagreements over issues, but everyone on this council has remained civil. No one raises their voices at each other. Sometimes members of the audience will raise their voice, but we don't as members of the city council, and I absolutely respect and appreciate my fellow councilors for that. And that's important when you choose your future leadership, is to look at the tone and tenor. I am concerned with some of the things that I've seen. I sense an anger there. I think we're all frustrated with COVID. But when people are angry, they tend to stop listening. So I want to continue with that civil tone and tenor and continue to serve you for the next 2 years. Thanks a lot.
My name is Dawn Keller, and I'm running for City Councilor here in Yachats. I moved here in 2017, and I became interested in city government because I was kind of a troubleshooter for the ELCA, which is the big Lutheran church body, and I traveled around all over the country looking at churches who got into trouble with their democratically elected councils. And of course there's church government, and then there's local government, and governments, they have some different issues, but there's a lot of similarities. And one of the things I noticed when I was looking at what we have here in Yachats is we have some of the same troubles when things got more complicated in the church, just like they got in our local government when we had all kinds of administrative things and where people started hiring city managers to help take care of all that stuff. Churches have the same equivalent. They usually call them administrative assistants or financial administrators or something like that. And it's always a very tricky thing to get a good fit for all of that and to make it work. And it's a very common thing that sometimes people don't explain the roles and the responsibilities and go shopping and make a really good match for that. And that remains an issue here in Yachats. And I think everybody was hoping that maybe we had gotten that straightened out, but I don't think we have, and so we need to do some work on that. I'll just tell you what I'm involved in. The big thing I've been doing the last year is I started a local Buy Nothing group here. And I started about a year ago, and I have 1,100 members now. And it is unlike some of the Facebook sites that are out there. It is on the Facebook format, but it's a lovely group of people who just give things to other members of their community, and if people need something, they ask for it. And when things get ugly with politics, it's always good to go over there and hang out on the site and just see people getting to know each other in very kind and neighborly ways. I hope I bring that kind of attitude to our city government.
My name is Max Glenn. Thank you for providing this opportunity. In addition, person in addition to the Lutheran village. I'm hoping to continue serving this community. My whole career has been working with small communities, helping to empower the people and helping to empower the communities to reach their visions. I've got specialized training working with communities in transition. One of the things that I saw when I came to Yachats 20 years ago was the need for more communication among all the different communities. We have many different subgroups in this community. I want to see that everybody has a seat at the table, their voice is heard. In that spirit, I created a Yachats community Facebook page. It was very successful, and we had to create for people to come to Yachats and fall in love like you and I fall in love with Yachats, and continue knowing what's going on here after they've gone back home to their own state. So it was necessary to create a second closed group from that public group just for Yachats residents. The public group now has over 8,000 people in it from all of the United States and a number of foreign countries. And our closed group just for people that live in the Yachats, greater Yachats area, our zip code area. I monitor that very carefully. And it's got 851 people in it now. And it provides a place for us to talk. One of the things that, in addition to the Facebook page, I've been involved in many activities. One of the fun things I'm known for is Santa Claus. When Art Miller comes to move to this community, I inherited that position and have enjoyed that. Another thing that I have been very much involved with Commissioner Hall in, I enjoy working with the larger community representing Yachats and work with him in developing the community land trust and in affordable housing. And I've been a strong advocate for affordable housing. Very proud of the two Vistara developments. And so I say, as you said, why change courses in the stream? We're in midstream now with a whole new form of government, and I want to continue to help that become a reality that serves the entire community. So thank you.
I know on the voter pamphlet, one of these things that says James. I'm not quite that formal with I go by Jim. I've been on the council since January of 2017. The reason I got involved with the council is when I moved here, I got involved with a group that was the philosophical forum that met every other Sunday at a local resident's house. And after about 6 months of those meetings, a couple that were sponsoring the philosophical forum said, I don't know if you're aware that there's 2 openings on the city council, only 1 candidate. Would you be interested in running? And I said, no, not particularly. I hadn't even given it any thought. But I said I'd consider it. After some thought, I said, well, this is the one thing you haven't done in your life, got involved in government on any level, so I put my name in. It was fairly simple. I didn't have an opponent. I didn't have to campaign. I didn't have to raise any funds, and I didn't have to badmouth an opponent, so it was pretty easy. After 4 years, I finally got to the point in about 3 years on the council, I'm starting to find my voice a little bit when it comes down to council business. I was kind of struggling with whether or not to run again for this office. In fact, I'm pretty much determined that I wasn't going to run for a second term. But as time has gone on in the last 6 to 8 months, I've kind of noticed a tendency on some people's parts to talk about going back to the future. When I became a member of the city council, there was already a city council manager form of government. I was never part of the council when there was a strong mayor council form of government. You used to have a mayor here that was not only the chief political officer, but also the chief administrative officer. A lot of the things that happened under that form of government, well, once I got here, I heard people complaining about things that former government had done. So I don't know if going back to what was done in the past is going to solve problems in the future. That's a decision that all you folks will have to make when you vote in this election. I look at things like this. There's some people that would say, well, the 501 building, that's a liability. I don't know what they consider this, but I've been here 6 years and it's still an empty field. The 501 building has been empty for 6 years. It was purchased before I became a member of the council. These are the things that I think we have to finally make a decision about. We're moving forward to move City Hall operations from the Commons to the 501 building. There's some people think that that's a waste of time and effort and money, but the point is we have an asset, the 501 building. It's sat empty for 6 years. It's time to put that asset to some sort of good use. So I'd like to see that be accomplished and completed. Parks and Commons is now studying on a serious level. This is the one thing you haven't done in your life, got involved in government on any level, so I put my name in. It was fairly simple. I didn't have an opponent. I didn't have to campaign. I didn't have to raise any funds, and I didn't have to badmouth an opponent, so that was pretty easy. After 4 years, I finally got to the point in about 3 years on the council, I'm starting to find my voice a little bit when it comes down to council business. I was kind of struggling with whether or not to run again for this office. In fact, I'm pretty much determined that I wasn't going to run for a second term. But as time has gone on in the last 6 to 8 months, I've kind of noticed a tendency on some people's parts to talk about going back to the future. When I became a member of the city council, there was already a city council manager form of government. I was never part of the council when there was a strong mayor council form of government. You used to have a mayor here that was not only the chief political officer, but also the chief administrative officer. A lot of the things that happened under that form of government, well, once I got here, I heard people complaining about things that former government had done. So I don't know if going back to what was done in the past is going to solve problems in the future. That's a decision that all you folks will have to make when you vote in this election. I look at things like this. There's some people that would say, well, the 501 building, that's a liability. I don't know what they consider this, but I've been here 6 years and it's still an empty field. The 501 building has been empty for 6 years. It was purchased before I became a member of the council. These are the things that I think we have to finally make a decision about. We're moving forward to move City Hall operations from the Commons to the 501 building. There's some people think that that's a waste of time and effort and money, but the point is we have an asset, the 501 building. It's sat empty for 6 years. It's time to put that asset to some sort of good use. So I'd like to see that be accomplished and completed. Parks and Commons is now studying on a serious level what to do with this ball field. I would like to see something happen to this piece of property. Most small cities would love to have some of the problems that we have in Yachats. We have the Commons, we have the 501 building, we have this piece of property that we can do some great things with. And yet a lot of people seem to think those are all liabilities for page or things that we don't want to fool with. I would like to see us move forward and deal with some of those issues.
My name is Greg Scott. I'm running for council. This will be my fourth term if I'm elected. In terms of my background, for those of you who don't know me, I figure I'm somewhere north of about 30 years worth of public service, both as an elected official, appointed position in the Planning Commission in Yachats, and as an employee of government, 12 years with the City of Corvallis, 16 years with Oregon State University, and also as a citizen volunteer. A few words about some of my accomplishments. When you've been 14 years involved in Yachats government, you've touched a lot of issues. But there are 4 or 5 that I think are worthy of special mention. One was the 2006 comprehensive plan update when I was a member of the Planning Commission. The mayor at that time wanted to hire an outside consultant, essentially, to do the comprehensive plan. But I convinced the Planning Commission, which I was a member, that wasn't a good idea. The citizens of this community need to own that plan. It needs to be our plan. And I think the results bear that out. And we actually surveyed people. More than 300 individuals contributed to the dialogue and the response to the questions that we posed to them. The next one also occurred partly before I was elected, was the sewer plant financing process.
At that time, the council was sort of hardwired to finance the sewer plant with property taxes. But if you look at the way the water plant, the water and the sewer are used, a large percentage of that, somewhere around 45% of that, comes from a relatively small number of very large users. So shunting the financing to property taxes seemed to be entirely a bad idea. I fought that unsuccessfully as a private citizen, but when I got on the council, I had a conversation with Mayor Smith and convinced her that a more involved process, including a citizen group that ultimately became known as the Green Ribbon Committee, was the way to go. And surprising to me, two of the best ideas that came out of that dialogue were from the business community. One was the food and beverage tax, which came from the owner of Green Salmon, the restaurant, and the other was the Urban Renewal District, which came from Linda Hessler. And both of those today, I saw some statistics from the city about the percentage of food and beverage taxes contributing to debt service that was substantial. The next one was the water district. For 10 years, the city wanted to withdraw water out of the Yachats River. And I had fought that, and eventually was able to convince them to look at partnering with the South Lincoln County Water District, which we did do, and which has been successful. And finally, I talked to the mayor on Green for 2 years before I was able to convince him to move from a strong mayor form of government to the city manager model. And I was the person given the charge to design the process and lead the committee that essentially discussed that particular concept and brought a recommendation to the city council that resulted in the governance model that we have today. Leadership is about process, engaging others and managing the discussion. The key to leadership, from my perspective, is process. It's like a four-legged stool. Process is the overarching objective. It's led by the need for trust, transparency, accountability, and vision. These are all central to the way I think and the way I approach my job as a public servant. I appreciate your consideration for my election to my term in the office. Thank you very much.
I'm Ann Stott, and I'm running for City Council. And my single greatest accomplishment right now is already being disabled, recovering from knee replacement. So my body is really struggling right now to survive, but I'm hanging in there. I'm running for City Council for one reason, and that's because I feel like our current council is not serving the citizens of Yachats well enough. I have posted on my website, handforyachats.com, information about myself personally. You can find out a little bit more about my colorful personality if you visit the website, get to know me a little bit better as an individual. I've lived here in Yachats now I'm moved into my 4th year now, and I cannot believe the beauty that we enjoy every day. And I feel like our council needs to keep in mind why people are attracted to Yachats, and to realize that it's not concrete, it's not asphalt, it's not parking lots, it's the natural beauty that we have here, and I think we need to remember that. I was an educator for 30 years. For the last several years of my career, I taught a course called U.S. Government and Citizenship, and I taught high school seniors about how government should operate. And personally, after observing our government, I feel like our government is broken, and that it is not actually meeting the needs of our citizens. I make basically 4 pledges to you if you elect me as your counselor. 1, I pledge to serve Yachats by seeking community input and keeping you informed. This is critical. For any decisions that our council makes, we should be talking to our community on a regular basis. And I have actually heard current members, the incumbent members of our council, say that they did not welcome surveys. They didn't think there was anything to be gained from getting that information. I have actually heard an incumbent member of council say that they did not welcome talking to the community about items on the agenda. These are both all comments that one can find if you go and peruse the minutes of City Council. And I have attended many of those meetings, and I have heard this many times, that they really don't want to get the community's input. I pledge that I will serve you by being respectful to all citizens. This isn't just about titles and so forth. This is about recognizing that our community is diverse and that we have many different ideas out there about what makes Yachats the amazing place that we live in. And we cannot discount those different views. We need to hear them. We need to have town halls. We need to have surveys. We need to get the views of everyone and respect all of those views, even if they seem crazy to some people. Maybe that crazy idea can get us refocusing on something that will be great for Yachats. I also pledge to serve Yachats by making educated, transparent decisions. You will always know why I vote the way I do. And I pledge to serve Yachats by exercising fiscal responsibility. And I know that questions will come up about this, I hope, because I feel like we are failing miserably at that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Those were the introductions. So we're going to get into some questions again, extending the courtesy to the county commission candidates, and we'll just alternate opposite each time. These are specifics to each of you. If you want to weigh in as a rebuttal, then just indicate so. And if you want to just do it at your seat, I think everybody can hear. But be comfortable with what you want to do. So, Joe, question for you. You say in many of your advertisements that county government needs a change or a new perspective. Can you expand on that, and can you provide specifics?
I think the county commissioners, the office itself, and the county as a whole benefit from people with different experiences and backgrounds. And I think that leads to kind of a different way of doing business. I think we've seen that in some of the new commissioner we've got in the county right now. I really strongly feel that the role of commissioner is not a career position. It shouldn't be something we have an elected official retire out of. I don't know if you've noticed, but I think it's safe to say I'm the youngest person here as far as the candidates go. And I think that gives me a much different perspective as far as our economy, our environment, and that sort of thing. So I do feel like the role of commissioner needs to change out, and I think that it's when we have folks in there for an extended period of time, we get the same agenda being pushed, and we need to find that change from within. Obviously, it's a perspective that I have that when I've worked for various agencies, I'm a landowner, I'm a small business owner, I have a vested interest in our economy here in Lincoln County, and I think that's lacking right now on the Board of Commissioners. So that's what kind of to expand on what I believe the new perspective on the county would be.
Well, okay, thank you, Quentin. Thank you, everybody. Well, I'm going to disagree respectfully with Joe on this point that, yes, we do need change from time to time. When I came into office, I was the junior commissioner, and now I've risen to the position of senior commissioner. Commissioner Hunt was appointed when Commissioner Lindley retired 7 years ago, and then Commissioner Jacobson was elected 2 years ago. But I think there is real strength in this. And I have been here long enough, and I've talked to people who lived in Lincoln County going back to the 1960s. And again, we went through a period of almost 20 years where not one county commissioner was reelected. A couple of them stepped aside voluntarily. The majority were voted out of office. And people told me, you know, that continuity and leadership and consistency in county government really suffered. That yes, I'll say yes, we do need a periodic infusion of new blood, and we are getting that kind of infusion. But change for the sake of change, when you've got somebody who is effectively getting the job done, personally, I think is a big mistake.
Thank you. Claire, this is to you specifically. You are seeking your 5th four-year term, and almost a follow-up to what you just said. You are seeking your 5th four-year term in the County Commission. What have you learned the past 16 years, and what would you have done differently?
Boy, that's a great question, a very broad question. You know, I came into office, I think, with really a good perspective on the nuts and bolts operation of county government, because for 18 years before being elected, I was a reporter, both newspaper and radio, covering county government. So I came in, I feel like, into office knowing a lot about how the community worked, how county government operated, but it's just been a continual learning process. Both the internal operation, you know, I find a lot of people don't realize that this is a full-time and really a full-time plus job. The external policy work we do that sometimes ends up the subject of discussion in the newspapers, on the internet, on Facebook, that's a big part of the job, but also just the day-to-day nuts and bolts management, because we don't have a county manager. The county commissioners, we directly supervise department heads, we shape the budget, we're involved intimately in contract negotiations with our 5 unions, so it's a challenging job, but it's really a diverse job. And again, I would say the value of knowledge and relationships. I think I was an effective commissioner when I was new in office, but I think I'm much more effective now. You know, I don't think I had a chance to mention that I'm chair of the Oregon Housing Stability Council, which is the state's single largest, you know, most influential body on housing policy issues. And you don't walk into a job like that overnight. I was appointed by the governor, confirmed by the state senate, because of my knowledge and my track record on working and advancing housing policy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, can you respond if you want?
You know, hard to respond to that question. I guess one thing I'd point out is that the commissioner position is one of the only ones in the state, the executive position, that hasn't been turned on. And I really think that it's important to, you know, experience is valuable, but we need to not pick and choose, you know, which positions we're fine with having somebody in there 20 years. You know, our county is changing. We're getting people moving in here, industry's developing, and we need a different perspective. We're losing our best and brightest right now because we can't find solutions to fix things like affordable housing, or we can't figure out how to maintain businesses through COVID, or we can't respond properly to natural disasters or wildfires. You know, there needs to be a change right now, a change in the way the county does business on a whole.